I could leave the meeting. Wow. Bye, guys.
It does, and we get really boring. You can definitely just jet on us.
I'm out.
Well,
I'm bored.
I think that's a hilarious internet joke right now. Is like we've really lost that essence of like hanging up on people with like cell phones and stuff now, because you can't like slam like a landline down or even like a flip phone, slam it down. You just like hit end call, like, or like
that's
Siri.
True.
Yeah, right.
It's not as gratifying.
Exactly,
like,
and
you get it.
Personally, I think that's why crime rates are up, because you can't get that frustration out. But that's right. Just me. So
right. No, I think you have you're honest something there for sure.
Well, Shelah, you're already fitting in here great because you're laughing at my terrible jokes. So let me be the first one to welcome Shelah Larson from This Side Up here to join us on the Anybody Can Do This show for another kind of behind the scenes look of This Side Up, the project from David Lanning that's coming out here. Hopefully sooner rather than later. So Shelah, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing great. And I'm super excited to be here. I've never done a podcast version of talking about a project before. So this is new for me. So I'm really excited. So hopefully just go easy on me. No curveballs, please.
We've only done 5 or 6 interviews. So like we're right with you. And I think if anything, people will be laughing at us way before they'll be laughing at you. So you're already doing it.
Yeah. Well, challenge accepted. We'll see about that.
So,
I don't know.
Shelah, why don't you tell us, or our listeners, people that interact with the show, we like to call those people the Anybodies. So if you hear me refer to that throughout the interviews, that's kind of anyone who interacts or rocks with our show. So if you wouldn't mind for the Anybody's just kind of quick, who you are, where you are, and your tie to This Side Up before we get into our conversation here.
Yeah. So who I am. Hello, I'm Shelah. I play Vanessa on This Side Up. I had the privilege of working with David Lanning, the director, writer, producer, all the things. That's how I kind of got in contact with him. I'm currently acting in the Bay Area. So kind of like San Francisco areas where I kind of look for projects and kind of just work the most around. But I actually do also kind of extend my reach to LA as much as possible, just because that's, a hub for all things creative and just, movies and all that good stuff. So again, from the Bay Area, worked with David on This Side Up as Vanessa. I was really excited about it.
So, and again, I said this off mic, but I want to say everybody, if I get any questions for This Side Up that you think, I don't know if David will want me talking about that, you just let me know. Because like I said, I am new at this too, but I don't think this would be one of them. Yeah. So we just talked to Theo a few weeks ago and got a little insight that the story is basically he leaves his longtime girlfriend and kind of goes through some stuff and then finds a new girl. So as crash as this sounds, are you the new girl or the old girl? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Do I give you new girl or old girl energy?
I'm going with new girl. I would say new girl. Yeah, that would be my vibe. Skater, what do you think?
Agrees.
I think new girl too. Yeah.
See, he's smart. He just knows to agree with me.
I'm flattered. I'm the old girl.
Oh, okay. You're the grandma. You're the
No.
You broke his heart. Skater and I.
I'm the OG.
Skater and I have cried about many girls like you who have broken our hearts. So, oh man.
Yeah. No, okay. I am the ex-girlfriend.
But who again seems, from what we've gathered from Augie, David, Theo, plays a prominent role throughout the entire film.
Yeah. Vanessa actually, when I was introduced to the character, I was really shocked at how much I related to Vanessa, just like in my own personal life too. It's an incredible story. And I think one of the things that makes it so genius is that David's writing is so relatable to, I think, a lot of people who have ever experienced heartbreak or been in a relationship. So when I was reading for Vanessa, I was like, oh my gosh, like, did you write this specifically for me? Like,
everybody's saying that, like Augie, Theo, like everybody. And again, we all know Theo's 2000 casting calls, David being really crazy about that, understandably.
Dude,
so.
Yes.
Everybody has that reaction where it's just like, David, we love you, man. But like, we were ready to throttle you at that point.
Yeah. Fortunately, I didn't have much to do with the casting, so I was just sitting pretty on the sidelines, like, all right, who do you got for me?
Right, exactly.
But yeah, Theo was definitely an awesome find, and I know David's incredibly happy and just ecstatic that he was able to the two were able to meet.
Right.
So.
Well, we're definitely going to get into this side up a little bit later, but I think the anybody's would like a chance to get to know your journey a little bit more. I'm sure you've had a few things happen to you before you linked up with that crew.
Yeah, being the old girl that I am, gosh, all this knowledge.
This old hat that you are. But no, you said you're in the Bay Area, San Jose. Is born and raised there? Have you always been over there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I actually am. It's wild because I can't even really say I'm new to acting anymore because it's been 2 years, but like it still feels new to me. So I don't have a history in theater or acting or anything like that. When I went to school, specifically college, I went to school for business. I was, really kind of set on getting a major that was going to open all the doors. It's a very versatile major. You can kind of do whatever with it. So
I'm a psychology major from a big state school. So yeah.
Oh,
different lanes, but similar things where it's just like broad enough. Like I know I kind of like this. I'll figure something out with it, but yeah,
exactly.
Not to interrupt.
Cast your net out.
Yeah, exactly. And I say this all the time, but I was like, if I wouldn't have been gone to classes that I was interested in, I would have gotten less than I even did now, or then I should say, but yeah. So sorry, continue.
I'm always looking back on it. No, for sure. So I went to school, graduated a 4-year college with actually specifically international business because I was really keen on traveling and doing all that really cool, awesome stuff, which I never lost that desire. But then in 2019, in January 2019 specifically, I was like, you know what, like something's lacking in my creative space, my creative life. Like I have this itch to just really do something that I'm passionate about doing. And so acting has always kind of been on like the surface, I want to say. Like I did like
voice
one
in
play.
The back of your brain. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, more than that if you did a play, but yeah, definitely something that you, right. Yeah,
exactly. And I think it was just the rational voice in me that took over when I was like going from high school to college. I was like, well, I can't really do anything with, theater, which is so not true. But at the time, that's
not necessarily the rational voice as much as it is like the trained voice or whatever you want to call it. Right.
Or the fear.
Right. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like a justification, if you will. Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Rob and I talk about that all the time.
So I did, I didn't pursue acting until 2019 January. And then that's when I started to kind of just look for projects in the area just to do like student films because I have no school background for it. I have no training. So I was like, let's start small. Let's see what I can get my hands on. And so one thing kind of led to the other. And I came across kind of bringing it all the way back, skipping a bunch of my life because I'm an old gal. I don't want to bore everybody here.
I think I'm telling people because now you're just like, you're milking it at this point, Shelah. You're 27. You're younger than Rob and I have ever been in our lives. Like, I don't think.
But it's like these Gen Zers, man, with their middle parts.
You're on TikTok, too much. Get off that TikTok app. That'll make you think anyone's old.
It's a problem. We
appreciate your honesty. That's what happens here. We become fast friends. We're talking about our deepest fears like TikTok right now. Yeah. We started a TikTok page. We only have one dance on there and I'm terrified to do anything else on there. Yeah.
Well, it's not necessarily who interacts. It's just the creation.
We had fun. That's
what it's
but
about.
You got to be careful not getting sucked in for sure. So,
so easy.
So these projects you're looking for, are you finding, I forget the name of the website slips my mind that August and David were backstage. Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right. Yeah. I don't know. You have the chance to say something that sounds a little uncouth if you come up with the wrong name. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we don't want anybody getting confused here. Yeah.
No.
Ending up on a blocked website at work. But
yikes.
Yeah. So okay, your first project, January 2019. Well, that wasn't this side up, I'm thinking.
No, it was a student film, and that was so interesting. It was a student film, and I didn't know anything about anything, so I was just really totally green, fresh, a sponge, just absorbing everything I could possibly get my hands on. But because it was a student film, they were like second-year students too. They were also still trying to get everything figured out with equipment and just sound and lighting, and so it.
Not the best experience
for us all.
Right. Yeah. No. And I think that's important, right? That's very, I hope you feel lucky to be able to like be in the moment enough to realize like, hey, totally. Everybody's kind of green. So let's not kind of just maybe think that this is what every project would be like.
Right. Exactly. And so from that project, I actually started each project since then. I've made it a point to take away a learning lesson from each one, just because as I've kind of delved into this world of acting and the craft of it all, and realizing that there is a lot of work and a lot to unpack in this world. I look back at some of my older projects and I'm like, well, maybe I probably wouldn't have done this one, or I would have done this one differently. But I don't want to take away from the experience. So again, I will write down some takeaway that I got from each project, and I'll reflect on that. So for the next time I could be like, okay, this is what I took away. This is what I learned. How can I apply it to new projects moving forward? So it's never a loss.
That's exactly what me and Neighbor do every episode, every week. Like we just, we might have some that are really good, and then we might have some that are just okay. And those just okay ones, we got to make sure we just take away something.
Yeah, I was alluding to it before a little. I think reflection is so important, not only in life, but in like this creative thing, because that's all mindset, right? Where it's like you can take a negative thing or a positive thing away from almost any experience, I would say. Sure, you have the few life-changing ones, unfortunately, that probably in the moment are hard to find the positive in, but hopefully those are real minute compared to the ones where you're actually able to be aware enough of like you said, if it's as small as, I wouldn't do something like that again because of something minute as I don't know, whatever it could be, you know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly. So it's all good. It's all learning. And again, it's weird. It's been 2 years, because 2 years is like still new, but it's not the newest.
Right. And I guess I'm interested to talk to you a little bit more, if you don't mind, about like your younger journey, like maybe even before college. So like we talk about it all the time here, like, and we talked about it a little bit before we started recording. Here we go.
You gotta take those breathing lessons, man. Sometimes he can't breathe. And
I'm up for air, guys.
I can't. No, this is my microphone. No one else will talk. So you kind of alluded to, you always had this creative itch or acting itch, that little voice. Like on here, we've come to call it like a fire. Like everybody has a fire at some point in your life. You only have the opportunity to like put little kindling on that fire. At other points, you get lucky enough, like David, or hopefully like we're all trying to get, where you can spend your entire day chopping down logs to try and feed that fire to make it like a huge thing, right? So like your journey as a kid, like were you an athlete? Were you acting in drama club? Do you do anything? Were you just like, I'm really into movies? Just like what kind of made you aware enough that it's like, all right, I didn't just turn this on in 2019? Yeah,
that's a great question. So I think it kind of just goes back to my upbringing with my mom specifically. She was such a teacher. She's not a teacher by profession, but she was a stay-at-home mom. She had 4 kids. And so raising us, she was always incredibly animated, and she was always so creative and vibrant, and with her storytelling, she would always be, again, animated. And so I think that's where I got that desire to be a part of those worlds that she would create. So when I was young, that's where it was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Like all these like different places, these characters, all these different scenarios, they just kind of were so intriguing to me. And I didn't realize it, obviously being that young, that I was starting to really develop a passion for that type of imagination. So, I was growing up and going middle school, whatever. And I remember, I think I was young. I always defer to like 7 or 12. I feel like y'all just defer to like 12.
I go like trying by grades. I don't even know how old you are in certain grades. I try and remember like teachers and do it like that. But I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
before high school,
12.
like that's before license and after license is kind of how I look at my life. Like
So this was before license, before I got my driver's license. At some point. I remember finding something on the internet, and as I'll say, this is like Neopet internet era days, but if you guys remember Neopets at all, if not,
I don't. What is it? Let's go. Sidetrack. Let's go. We love tangents here. So
all right, Neopets. Okay, so
Neopets. I think that's like those like Tamagotchi, they were like your pocket things.
Online.
Okay, all right. I thought you said Neopets. I thought you were talking about some like wild original YouTuber or something. But
no, I don't know.
But this sounds more familiar. Neopets. I'm definitely got a little memory of that for sure.
It's like you have like those little you had like alien characters, something you had to take care of them, and it was online, and they lived in certain regions and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I feel like there's a billion of those games now. So one of the predecessors of the farmland or whatever. I feel like I just dated myself right there with farmland.
No, it's all good. Us 90s babies or whatever.
Okay, all right. We haven't. August is a bit younger. I think I don't know, but we've been good of keeping people who haven't made me feel too old, except for TikTok, like we were saying. So
don't worry.
Right? Yeah.
No,
okay.
we're good. We're at our prime. We're in our prime.
So you're pre-license, sometime in your pre-license area on the internet. Yeah.
Correct. And I saw this like thing for kid actors or something like that. And I don't know why I just felt so inclined to like pursue that. It was like one of those Disney Channel things, I think it was, because DisneyChannel.com was like really hot too at that time.
And you're in California, even if it's in state far away, it's more feasible than someone like us, on the computer in Pittsburgh. Like, hey, mom, buy me this plane ticket. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And, I didn't even think about that. But yes, I had a lot of access to stuff like that. Yeah. So I bring it to my dad and I'm like, hey, Dad, like this looks like something like I kind of want to do or just look into. And he was a little curious because I had never mentioned anything like that to him before. And so I think we like talked about it for all of like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something, probably not even 20, it was probably like 5 minutes. And then it kind of just died out. I really don't know what happened from there, but I remember actively thinking like, oh, this could be really cool. So that was another instance earlier on. And then come junior high, I was in theater for a class elective or something like that. And I was a part of a play. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. Like you get to play dress up in front of people. And I love talking. So it's like people have to listen to me. So this is great.
Why do you think I started a podcast?
I know. I relate to you. I get you. Shoot, this is my sign to start a podcast.
I told you it's only going to take 15 minutes and you'll be right in the swing with us here. So it's great.
For sure.
Yeah, no.
So I did that one and I was like, okay, this is really cool. Again, I was just like not really thinking about it long term. I played a pirate in Peter Pan.
I was going to ask what the play was. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
The first play, I have no idea. I just remember it was incredibly boring.
Some kids' book shit. Yeah.
Bless the parents' hearts for watching their kids.
I dread having to do that, like, you know what I mean? Because I'm so bad. Mrs. Neighbor, my girlfriend, would say it, like, I'm so bad at having a game face when I'm somewhere where I don't want to be there. Like, I'm just like, I'm so bad. People are like, you're such a dick. I'm like, no, I'd just rather be at home, like, doing something else. I
get it, you know? So good luck with that.
I'm still working on it. Yeah, very actively.
Yeah, we all are. So anyways, the Peter Pan one was the high school one. And that was where I have more memory because, I was older and I think I was just more excited about it. But I played a pirate. I was one of the pirates. Watch out. I had a sword. I was so excited for that sword.
Are you someone who can be trusted with a sword? I'm going to say yes from now. But again, it's good to have self-awareness. So.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think then, yes. Yes. Now,
as you're a little more salty in this long road that you keep alluding to, you don't know if you can be trusted with a weapon.
Yes.
I get that. Like I said,
damn kids have hardened my soul.
Self-awareness is important. We say that. Okay, so so I'm interested in this will go into the last question that we ask everybody like further in the interview, but so that play in high school, your group of friends, like your close group of friends, are they involved in that play or in any form or fashion with acting?
That's a great question. I think that has to bring into question, did I have friends?
No. Okay. No. That would be could be
I definitely had friends, but I was kind of a floater. I think from freshman year to sophomore year, I had like friends, but like they were the friends that you know, they were good friends for that time. But then like, I think junior, senior year, I started to kind of float more. So my friends varied in what they liked. I definitely had some theater friends, in my friend group senior year. And I freaking love theater people. They're so they're so fun and animated, and they're everything I wish I discovered in myself earlier on.
Well, I think it's important that you're discovering it now. You know what I mean? Like it's been kind of like the running joke of the interview, but like you're so young and early on the journey that there's a lot of people who go through their entire life and never wake up and realize that or do anything with it and just like have this animosity or like self-loathing, or maybe it's even not self-loathing of just like they didn't take those little chances, like floating between friend groups or whatever you want to call it. So and I think that's important too, because you said right now it's interesting to hear you, like we're talking to co-lead actress, lead actress of This Side Up coming out, and you're not referring to yourself as like a theater person or like an actor, which I think is very interesting. Like, you know what I mean? Because August, I think it was August, right? Rob came on here and was like, sometimes you got to be the first person to toot your own horn. Call yourself a podcaster, call yourself an actress, call yourself whatever your passion is, even if it's not how you're paying the bills necessarily right now, right? Which is something you alluded to, that you're like Skater and I right now. You're still on like a 9-to-5 job where you're not all, I hate to say you're not all in, but like you're not solely supporting yourself on just this acting and this passion that you have now, but you still are kind of balancing your full workload, your life, as well as your creative workload, I call it too. You know what I mean? So can you tell us a little bit? That's hard, right? That gets really hard some days. So can you tell us a little bit about like that? You haven't made the jump just yet, like we're talking to, but like you're a lot closer than me and Rob are, you know what I mean? Like you were alluding to it. I don't know. You said your workload and things and your hour distribution or whatever you're saying is getting closer to 50-50 with your real job than not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so I started realizing that, again, I wanted to explore acting more. And when that was in 2019, and when I did that or made that decision, I really wanted it just to be like a weekend hobby. Like I wanted it to be something fun, that I would just meet different people and just kind of.
Better than sitting on the couch.
Exactly. Yeah. And so when I started to do projects on the weekend, I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm unlocking part of myself that has always been there, but I just never had the courage or the key or the right tools. I don't know, but it was just a slow realization of mine. So as I'm doing more projects, those projects become more evolved and there's more, there's more creative energy because you maybe have more people working on it. And then when This Side Up happened and it was, to the scale that it was for an indie film, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is intoxicating. Just being around people who have such a passion to bring an idea into like a reality it was wild. It was so cool to see that. So that's where that weekend hobby like grew exponentially to like oh my gosh, I need more of this in my life.
I'm addicted, right?
Yeah. And that was this past, well, we wrapped in, I think, October of last year.
I know you guys had a bunch of obstacles and delays and stuff, so I can understand that you got a little muddled with the timeline and the fires and all that stuff. But yeah, sorry, because you are going on an amazing path, which is like what we've talked about in other interviews, which still amazes me that we're able to have synergy between people who like don't know that much about our show and like conversations. So, but like that hobby and turning into not a hobby anymore, you know what I mean? Which is something that we've talked even through the evolution of just this third season of the Anybody Can Do This show, is like we started like that too, where it's just like, I always say it's better than sitting on the couch playing Xbox. That's why I kind of like said it to you. It was like a good, I was like you, I graduated college, kind of got the job, was progressing through like the 9-to-5 job and just didn't feel fulfilled. That's what I always say. I'm like, and I got like this bad anxiety about like, this can't be it, right? Like this, I know like I got plenty of more personal milestones and all that stuff with having a family and all that, but like, I just know that's another want that I have and another void to fill, but it's not this one that I'm like very aware of right now. You know what I mean? So that's why I said, sure, Eli and Andy, fuck it, I'll help you record this dumb video, and then I guess I'll get on the mic and be like the third wheel, and then I guess I'll host it, and I guess I'll do all this, and like Skater and I got to the point where we just
said, I guess I'll come on here.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And we were feeling disingenuous telling people that this was just like a hobby that we were doing now. Like my Eli, who I allude to, he goes by Fancy Bread on the show, is like an executive producer, and we have these great conversations about just like the bigger views for the show and stuff. And he was one that made me realize, and then through these conversations, it's not a hobby for me anymore. I'm not ready to make the jump tomorrow, but I'm going to be ready at some point. You're never ready, but that's more into it. But it's so amazing the synergy that we have with people that we've been talking to in this third season, and how their stories all come back to very similar themes and aspects. Obviously, different colors of paint, different shutters and stuff, but the same foundation and stuff. It just amazes me, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at your analogy that you tried to fucking.
I'm on fire today. I think with analogies, dude. Yeah, thank you.
I don't mean to put you out. I'm not putting you out.
Skater, don't make me hit you on camera.
He's
all
gonna
right.
come for you.
No. See, all this stuff's way too expensive for me to like spill coffee on. That's the only thing that saves him. So, no, I just think so. Yeah. Let's get to this side up, I guess, because that's a very critical moment for you in this journey. It seems like, obviously, you know what I mean? So what, I'm stumbling here a little bit, but it's just tell me about that first day on set, because like you said, that has to really be the moment where you're like, David had a great soundbite from here about the sound trucks are coming in and all this stuff. And he took a moment to just like take a deep breath and look around and be like, holy shit, this is it. Right. So I'm interested to hear kind of, maybe it wasn't the first day, maybe it was the wrap day, or there has to be one specific kind of moment within that huge project where you're like, oh man, like this is what I've been looking for.
Yeah. So that's a great question. And I think
it was more of a stumble to get there, but I appreciate you saying
you did
that.
a great job.
Yeah. Failing upwards. The neighbor Nick story. Yeah.
Fail upwards every time. So for me, I think I came on to set for the first time like 2 weeks into production. So everyone was already rocking and rolling. And
that's interesting. That's got to be terrifying. That like someone like, if that's your first project at a scale like that and they just throw you in there where everybody, that's crazy. That was a great question, neighbor. Good job.
Good job.
Yeah, it's got to be terrifying. Like, I don't care how confident you are, right?
Yeah, no, looking back on it, absolutely. But I think because this was my first experience, I really didn't know what it was going to be like. So I didn't expect it to be what it was. So I was just going into it like, hey, I know David, I know Theo, I know August, like, let's do this. And then I get on set and I can't even really remember the first day, but everyone's there, everyone's, all these new people that I've never seen or met, trying to learn names and understand who's doing what while not trying to get in the way of anybody. Cause I tend to just always stand in the wrong spot all the time. So I'm like, let me just walk over here.
Right.
But actually it's coming back to me now. I think the first day for me was, it was at one of the locations was Vanessa's house. It was my house, my family home. And so that was my first day on set. I got there again. I had no idea where I was going, what I was doing, where I needed to stand. So I wasn't in the way of people. It was all really new. Everything was fast paced. I think I got there and Theo was in the makeup chair and, he was getting his stuff done. I was like, oh my gosh, hey, like someone I know.
Right. Yes. Familiarity. Thank God. Right.
I was like, yeah, it was interesting. And it was lunchtime. Everyone was eating lunch too. So I'm over here not knowing anyone. Everyone's trying to enjoy their like food. Their
back to grade school all over again. What table to sit at, right? Yeah.
Damn,
I was the girl in the bathroom like eating. I was like, I didn't even want to eat. I was like, I'm just gonna sit over here.
Right,
I didn't eat. I was like, I can't.
Right. Yeah. No.
Is that what girls do? They eat in the bathroom?
Have you never watched a movie, dude? You're watching too many Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. You've never seen like a sad girl.
You're not watching enough.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Or I feel like any movie like ever. Yeah, that's a thing for sure.
No.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I'm glad that gets the skater approval of appropriate emotional reactions.
Yeah, I had that thinking about it. But yeah,
No, so
that
but
was interesting.
that's good. I mean, again, that's got to be a sign that that's where you're supposed to be, right? If you're not as nervous as you think, right? And I think, but there had to have been a hard day, right? There had to have been like, tell me about a little bit of that if you can. Like, just tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me about the worst memory you have from this side up. I hate to say it like that because I'm sure it was a great experience. You know what I mean? But there had to have been a day where you were like, oh man, I'm really down. Like, you know what I mean? Whether it's long hours, you don't know if you're cut out for that. Whether, I don't know, it could be a multitude of things because you've got to take time off from your 9 to 5, right? To go shoot for a couple weeks. You've got to,
David was actually a genius. And I don't know if it was David or, Rachel or someone else scheduling, but they had asked me ahead of time if I had any scheduling conflicts. And because of work, I let them know, like, I can be as flexible as you need me to. Like, this is something I absolutely want to do and I'm going to make it work. But he was great. They were great. And majority of my stuff was on the weekend or it was on like a Friday or a Monday. And it was either like a morning time or nighttime. So I could take like a half day at work. So it worked out beautifully for me.
Wow. That's awesome because, and again, this is just the lens that we've had other conversations about this side up through is like everybody in that house and like the 2 or 3 week time crunch, all in crazy amount of days. It's wild to me, it almost seems harder the gig that you have. Like I've been thinking about this while you're talking is like you have to live your 9 to 5 work life, but you're trying to invest and become this character like that you're like leading up to. Like that's got to be that's got to be even more energy exasperated in terms of like living that double life. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think that there's a lot, and this is something too that, again, going back to what I said about taking away a learning lesson from each project. So I take acting classes on the side and my teacher's great. And she really makes us think hard about, us personally and how we can bring experiences into a character to make it real. So I didn't really have all of the tools that I think I have now when we were filming that, because I would probably approach it differently where I would do more homework on Vanessa and I would try and, do different techniques so that I could just 110% be in that character. And whenever they said action, I'd be ready, because I think what I found with myself during this shoot was, I would be myself waiting, getting hair or makeup done or whatever. And then I would come on set and I would be like, okay, just give me a second. Let me get there. And then I'd get there and then we'd film. And I would kind of walk away from that scene not really feeling that great about it. And the reason being is because I didn't really maintain that headspace how I know that I should have or even could have. So there are definitely things that I would have wanted to maybe do a little differently, but at the same time, like, because it was my first project at this scale and caliber, like I'm so happy and thrilled with the end result, even though I haven't seen the end result fully.
But you always want to get better. You know what I mean? And it's
exactly.
And I feel like that about the show too. And honestly, this is more myself. Like I truly feel like that voice in the back of your head. I don't know if I'll ever be able to be as good at this until I make the jump into it full time. I think I can be really good and really great and keep improving, but it's going to get to a point where it's like, all right, man, you got to at least try. You'll never know. You know what I mean? So like, I that's another thing that was like sticking in my mind while you're talking right there. It's like, that's great mindset to have and all that stuff, but maybe we'll never really know until we make that full jump. You know what I mean? Not saying that we got to do it now or whatever, because I think it's important. No, it's important to be prepared. You're never fully prepared, but you gotta be prepared to make the jump, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever.
You actually saying that, it kind of resonates with me. There's this poster at my current job, my 9 to 5 job, if you will, that says, "What would you do if you weren't afraid?" And I just, that hits me hard every time.
I'd quit this fucking job and start acting full time. That's not calling you out. Like I think about that all the time, where it's like there is an aspect of being afraid for sure. Like in this, like if I gave you True Serum, it doesn't even look like I have to. It's like you would love to work on projects like this side up or similar or bigger or whatever it is instead of your 9 to 5. I'm sure. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
And that's kind of been an interesting thing. That's been an interesting area of my life that I've also kind of been reflecting on is my current job and my passion for acting, because I actually do, which I never thought I would find myself saying this in any job. I love my job.
That's awesome. I think that's great.
So,
you know what I mean? Like, you're lucky. I think it's very, very lucky not lucky, but hard work on yourself to find fulfilling or enjoying avenues of a lot of parts of your life. That's great.
Yeah. So it's been an interesting kind of.
So you're not even necessarily
journey.
maybe dying to make that jump. Doesn't mean you're less passionate about it, but it makes it harder for you where you're not like I hate telling Skater's story for him, but he works in a 9-to-5 job where he kind of has a finite end here coming up soon. I think he'd be the first to tell people, do you love that job?
No, I fucking hate it.
Yeah. And he's kind of at this, you tell you're at the.
Yeah. Well, the store is basically going out of business because of COVID. And it's probably going to officially go out of business, I would say, within the next month. But I'm basically just going to try and make that jump and do freelance artwork for a living and pay the rent that way and all that. And if it doesn't work out, I'll get another shitty job and work on it a year from now or something. I don't know. But the point is like, I'm just going to fucking go for it. Hopefully it works out. And we'll see where we're at from there.
No, and that's why it's interesting. And I think most people that we've talked to on here have been like that. And your story is a little different than that, Shelah, which is awesome. And I think important for the anybody's to hear because, again, you are lucky to have two really passionate fires burning right now. And you maybe not know which one you want to keep going more than the other. Because at some point you probably have to make a choice, right?
Yes, at some point I absolutely will. And I'm a firm believer in micro goals and really kind of setting very achievable bite-sized goals, because I think this kind of came about during COVID too, where you're constantly in this rhythm or this routine of something. If you have these huge goals that you really have no way of achieving, if you wanted to travel, and we obviously can't travel, or go to, large crowd places, whatever. It just is so discouraging when you just can't get that fulfillment. So I started to do lean into micro goals and set small things. Like I'm gonna something as simple as go for a run, once a week or something. And then for acting, my micro goal was I'm going to submit myself to, X amount of projects that, I'm excited for or whatever. And so just being able to do those micro goals has been really reassuring to me. And so, I kind of digress on where that was going.
It's so funny the connection this conversation has to the interview we did before and before that and before that.
Theo was saying the same thing about the micro steps, and that's kind of like a code that I live by now too. And it's something I've learned through COVID. It's just when you make too big of a goal or set too big of a goal, it's so fucking overwhelming, and you don't even know where to start. So I think it's important and good that now I lost my train of thought.
To have those micro goals.
Yes.
Yeah. No. And that's something that I again really appreciate from Rob. I mentioned on the last couple episodes is counting the small wins as wins, nonetheless. You know what I mean? Because small wins stack up and turn into big wins. You know what I mean? And that's what we always say about showing up in that routine, committing to doing it and all that stuff. That's half the battle. You're just destined to get better doing that.
Yeah. Right.
That's awesome.
Really,
so let's talk about Vanessa a little bit here. I think that we're at a good point here. You alluded to the fact that, like Theo, like August, this character was written for you, right? I do feel like you hear a lot of people say, big actors will say that all the time when they're just trying to pump maybe a movie, but it's very genuine. No, but it's very genuine from everyone who comes from this project, which I think is awesome and interesting. So what are a few major things from Vanessa's character that really resonated with your life outside of acting?
Man. Yeah. Well, the movie is about relationships, and it's about, change and how we deal with it. In this case, it was how Jake deals with change. But I think for me, I was really drawn to Vanessa in particular because it was a scary replica almost of my previous relationship. I was in a long-term relationship for 6 years. It was long distance. We had our ups and downs, and ultimately, you grow apart, you grow different, things change. And as individuals, you kind of respond to that change individually. So, all of that being growth and that stuff. So when I was, reading for Vanessa, I felt for her, because, she's a character where she kind of is the catalyst. In my opinion, she's one of the catalysts to Jake's journey of discovery. And so for me, in a way, I just was like, I felt that pain that she was feeling, I think, when the relationship wasn't too hot. And so, there's just a lot of parallels to the conversations that if you watch the movie, which I hope you do.
Yeah. Trust me, we will. Yeah, we will. Yeah.
Good. Just a lot of the interactions are very similar. It tells the journey of when they first started dating and what that looks like.
And that's got to make your acting job easier when it's less acting and more just kind of pulling from real life, right? Like you're not pretending. I don't like to call acting pretending, but you're not pulling from experience that's not real. Which I think has got to be important, right? Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's why earlier on too, I said, I would take a minute. I wouldn't really remain in that headspace. I would just take a minute because it was so correlated with my life. But again, I would address that differently. How I mentioned already, but yeah. So just, if you watch the film too, like, I don't know, Vanessa, near and dear to my heart. I get her. It's tough. It's tough when people grow.
Yeah. And it's tough to realize that growing apart just becomes part of life sometimes, whether you want it or not, or or just growing in different directions or at different paces. For sure. It's hard to realize that sometimes.
Yeah. So it was really fun, but
this has been, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but it makes me smile and it makes me so happy. Just the synergy, all these conversations have. It's like we all because that's what was so important to us when we asked people to come on and join us, and we've been lucky to kind of get everyone from this side up and then everyone else who's come on for interviews who's not this side up. It's just we all vibe together, and we all are you all tell the story that we're looking to hear in different ways, in terms of again, it is motivational, I think, for people who are at different points of creative journey where they're looking to either find what their creative itch is, looking for more fulfillment in life outside of what they got, or looking to make a leap into something, a multitude of things. But it's just like, I just want to thank you so much for like joining us and sharing. It's been awesome. I mean, 45 minutes has flown by already, and I feel like we barely get to know
definitely.
you.
No, you create a very safe and inviting space. So
we appreciate
much appreciated.
Thank you. We appreciate
you too, Rob.
that.
You too.
No, he does. He fits his mold perfect. Yeah. No, and that is, we're not here to really, I don't mean this as any disservice to this side up, but like that's not really what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about everybody's journey related to this side up and how that's a part of it, because I don't know if we got lucky, or maybe like we were saying that ocean analogy earlier, but like everyone that we've talked to with the relation to this side up is just like such a great genuine spirit and creative energy that just like has been so willing to have like this, like it's not an interview, it's just a conversation. It's like a get to know you. It's like, right? And it's just, that's all on the guest. The fact that you said this is your first podcast form interview is amazing, because you ran with it. So
I told you I love to talk. So
and me and you, we fit right in. So, and then that's why we got Skater. But
we can talk for hours. It's dangerous.
Well, I hope we can, because I hope you'll come back and keep rocking with us. And we like to say this every time people are on, that we consider you a friend of the program now. So we'd like to have you back.
Do I get a shirt? A mug? A sticker?
See, again, with the synergy, and it's tax season. Anybody's knows when it's tax season, the checks are coming in. Skater and I were talking merch this week.
Merch,
the merch is coming.
You'll get one of the first care packages that I think might have here in a couple weeks. That's actually a little teaser for the anybody's out there.
Yeah.
But see, Shelah, you went from never doing a podcast interview to now being the interviewer.
Totally. Don't get me started.
So, yeah. I love it. But I do have to ask you kind of like our thesis statement question that we ask everybody that joins us here. And I'm actually interested to hear your take because I think it's going to be a little bit different based on some other things that we've talked about. So this creative feeling, this creative itch that you have, and acting before you have your license, playing a pirate in high school, looking to scratch it a little bit more in 2019, whatever it is. Rob and I really feel that a majority, if not everybody, has that kind of itch, fire, little voice of it. Might not be something creative, but something that they need to add or do more or add more time into in their life that'll add more fulfillment to their life. That could be working with Excel. That could be cooking. That could be acting. That could be doing a podcast. It could be a multitude of things, right? It could be whatever.
Right.
I think a lot of people are scared to put more time and energy and release those talents to the world or their inner circle, for lack of is more accurate, because they're scared of the reaction that people will get. That's why I was kind of asking you about your friends group when you were earlier. I think like for me personally, like if I would have tried to like do a podcast or anything like this, like my boys that I grew up with who I love to death and like love the pod now would have clowned the shit out of me to the point where like I never would have done it. I tell people all the time, like the best and worst moment of my life is when I got in an airplane the day we dropped the first episode. I sent it to all my friends, turned my phone off, and then got these receptions in like 5 texts in a row. It was like, man, I wanted to fry you and say this was bad, but it was actually good, right? So I'm interested, like someone who is not in your shoes because there's someone who's maybe looking to make the jump to change their passion or creatively. What would you tell those people who are maybe worried about what that public reception or reception or reaction from their close, intimate circle would be?
You know, if I would say that true friends and true relationships, you know, it's hard because I guess it depends on where you're at in life and where they're at in their life. Because again, you mentioned like when you were younger, that's probably what their reaction would be, but now maybe not so much. But if I were to tell someone that is in my shoes now, maybe kind of more in my age range. God, why do I keep going back to this age thing? Like I'm 50 years old now. Like I don't know.
You're an old soul. That's all right. You fit right in here.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. No, you're wise. I'm serious. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke. You're very aware and like you're not someone with your head in the sand. You know what I mean? You're not someone who's just like distracted or confused with shit that doesn't matter. Like you found a job at 27 that you love. You found a passion that you're good at that you're also able to spend a lot of time at. Like there's so many people who never do that, let alone by 27 or 37 or whatever. So I think you've been lucky to be on this journey for longer than you maybe even realize, I think. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just listening to that voice and stuff.
Yeah. So, that's a great call out. So if I were to talking to someone like me, maybe if I were talking to someone, you know, who's in a job, maybe they don't like it or whatever, they want to pursue something else. I would just say that if, you know, you're worried about the reactions of your inner circle, I would hope that people who really know you and people who really truly love you, they will see that passion, that shine come from you when you talk about it. Similar to Nick, how I mentioned when you were talking about it, like you're just oozing that joy and that passion. And, you know, and so, and that's how I feel when I talk about acting to people. Like you can't shut me up because it's just something that I've discovered that I love. And I'm just so passionate about so passionate about talking about
it.
Words.
You're doing great. Keep it up, girl.
Nailed it.
Rob is so happy because he's usually the stumbler.
Yeah, I'm the culprit for all of
But now you guys are kindred souls, so it's perfect.
Do you want to feel better about yourself, Rob? Just talk to me, man. I got you.
And you're self-deprecating. See, you are wise behind your ears.
Just words. They elude me right now.
No, but you're passionate. You love talking about it. It's very evident.
I would just say, like, you should trust that those people are going to hopefully see that and support you and come alongside you. And, you know, if they're really opinionated, then
fuck 'em. I'll say it for you. Fuck them. Yeah. And right. No, and that alludes to your point before that people change, and maybe you realize that, like, if these people are really shitting on me being open and vulnerable, then maybe this isn't who I want to be spending my time around. Like, I think That's what I got out of your answer. And I hate putting words in people's mouth, but like, if you feel that that's actually like what you want to do, you're not going to really care if people close to you are telling you. It's hard, right? Like, it's hard to, Theo talks about it. He told his parents he wanted to like quit his job and go into acting. That's hard to do, right? But like, they might not understand in the moment, but they're like, people are going to understand in the long haul that that's just what you need to go do or figure out. So.
Right. And I think that life is so incredibly short. It's terrifyingly short if you think about it. That it's just one of those things where I would hope that people live their life doing the things that they love and are passionate about. I know that that's not always the case. And I know, people might not discover until they're, 50s or 60s or even at all, but just when you think about the grand scheme of things, it's just not taking any moment for granted and knowing that we're in our prime right now in this moment every day. Just this is the moment. So just really taking advantage of that. And I don't know, like, it's scary, it's terrifying, it's uncertain, but like, there's so much thrill and energy that comes from taking risks on yourself.